Stockholm, Sweden, the city of lights, art, and discreet encounters. It was here, far from the flashing cameras of Istanbul, that two of Turkey's brightest stars allegedly crossed paths under circumstances no one could have predicted. According to whispers now making their way into the entertainment world, the seeds of a secret relationship began in this very city, one that could shake the foundations of marriages, careers, and fan devotion across continents. If you like the video, subscribe and comment. Barış had flown into Stockholm for what was described officially as a private work retreat. Sources close to his management insisted he needed time away from the Turkish media storm to recharge. Meanwhile, Elçin, filming a limited European project, had been living quietly in a stylish apartment in Östermalm, blending effortlessly into the Scandinavian lifestyle. It was in the heart of Gamla Stan, at a discreet cafe overlooking the cobbled streets, that their paths first crossed. Witnesses recall the moment vividly. Barış, dressed in a dark coat and beanie, walked in alone, attempting to avoid recognition. Elçin was already seated by the window, sketching lines in a script she had been rehearsing. They looked surprised, but not like strangers, claimed one patron. It was like two old friends meeting after a long time. But the energy between them, it was more than friendship. A spark ignited. Over the next days, the sightings grew. Locals whispered of late-night walks along Strandvägen, of shared laughs at a tucked-away jazz bar in Södermalm. Always cautious, they seemed to avoid public displays of affection. Yet, to those observing, the chemistry was undeniable. A staff member at a boutique hotel on Norrmalmstorg claimed the pair often checked in separately but ended up on the same floor. They were careful. Different elevators, different timings. But sometimes, eyes can't hide what lips won't say. But behind the whispers and the glances lay a darker undertone. Barış's wife, back home in Turkey, had no idea. Insiders suggest he had been portraying his trip as strictly professional, assuring her of his loyalty while secretly building a bond thousands of miles away. A friend of Elçin, speaking under anonymity, revealed. She didn't plan this. It wasn't supposed to happen. But when you're both lonely in a foreign country, emotions take over. They confided in each other, and soon it became something they couldn't control. Why Sweden? Insiders suggest the choice was deliberate. Far from paparazzi hotspots like Paris or London, Stockholm provided anonymity. Locals were less inclined to chase celebrities for autographs or photographs. For two actors burdened with fame, the cold northern city became their secret paradise. One evening, a photographer stationed outside a theater claimed he spotted the two leaving minutes apart. They thought they were being discreet, but when you know what to look for, you see the signs. The matching scarves, the way one would wait around the corner while the other hailed a cab. It was like a secret dance. Though their meetings were still unknown to the Turkish press, whispers had already reached fan forums. Some users speculated that their simultaneous social media silence was too coordinated to be coincidence. A Twitter post that briefly trended in Istanbul read, "Why is Barış in Stockholm the same week Elçin is there? Fate or something else?" Meanwhile, his wife continued posting warm family pictures online, unaware of the storm brewing in Northern Europe. Entertainment insiders warn that if these rumors surface in mainstream Turkish tabloids, the fallout could be explosive. Barış's carefully crafted image as a devoted husband would be shattered, while Elçin, already a magnet for public attention, would face accusations of betrayal and opportunism. Still, those close to them insist what grew in Sweden was not calculated but inevitable. "They've always had a connection," said an anonymous director who worked with them both. On screen, you could feel the spark. Off-screen, it was only a matter of time before art bled into reality. And so, what began as a chance encounter in Sweden may soon evolve into one of the most shocking love scandals in Turkish entertainment history. What began in Sweden as casual meetings over coffee quickly turned into late-night conversations, shared hotel rooms, and a chemistry too strong to ignore. The pair grew bolder. They no longer needed excuses to meet, their schedules suddenly aligned with uncanny precision. In the early weeks, it was about companionship. They strolled through the frozen streets, sharing jokes in hushed tones, covering themselves with scarves and coats. But by the third week, the boundaries had blurred. A staffer at a luxury spa outside Stockholm recalled seeing the two enter the facility under different names, only to emerge hours later, laughing, glowing, and closer than ever. They didn't look like co-stars anymore, the staffer whispered. They looked like two people who couldn't live without each other. Back in Turkey, however, reality was pressing in. Barış's wife noticed the change. Friends describe her becoming increasingly suspicious as his messages grew shorter, his calls less frequent. He said he was tired, busy, overwhelmed with commitments, revealed a family acquaintance. But she knew him too well. A wife feels when something is off. Meanwhile, Elçin's team attempted to maintain her public image. She appeared in interviews, cheerful and radiant, yet insiders claim she often checked her phone obsessively between questions, waiting for coded messages from him. The secrecy was fragile. One night, a paparazzo in Sweden snapped what could have been the first damning photo, two silhouettes by the waterfront, huddled close against the icy wind. The image was blurry, the faces unrecognizable, but speculation online was immediate. Fan forums exploded with threads. That coat looks exactly like his. Her hair color is impossible to miss. Coincidence? I don't think so. The photo was quietly buried before it hit mainstream outlets, but insiders believe their teams worked overtime to suppress it. By now, the emotional stakes were undeniable. For Barış, torn between loyalty to his wife and the intoxicating pull of Elçin, every trip back home became torture. For Elçin, the guilt grew heavier, yet so did the longing. A close friend of hers confessed. She asked herself every night if she was destroying a family. But she also said, when I'm with him, I feel alive. When I'm away, I feel like I'm suffocating. It wasn't just attraction. It was love, and love is ruthless. The wife's intuition. By the time spring rolled in, cracks had formed. His wife began noticing inconsistencies, business trips that didn't match his schedule, receipts tucked away in his pockets from European restaurants, the scent of a different perfume on his clothes. She tried to confront him gently, an insider claimed. But he dismissed it, saying she was overthinking. That only made her more suspicious. At a family dinner, relatives whispered that she appeared distracted, forcing a smile while he checked his phone under the table. It was obvious something was pulling him away, one guest remarked. Despite the rising danger, the two lovers in Sweden grew careless. They attended a small art exhibition together, arriving separately but seen standing too close by a sharp-eyed attendee. They were spotted at a lakeside cabin outside Stockholm, arriving in the same rented car.